ilaha illallah, I testify on only one God. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, I testify that Muhammad is a messenger and he is a servant of God. He's not only a messenger, abduhu, but he's also a servant of God. And this is what makes him beautiful, is how he serves God by serving the creation. Man lam yashkur nas lam yashkurillah. The one who does not, look at the teachings. Let me just give you a few prophetic traditions. In Islam, one thing that's beautiful is that the words that the Prophet uttered during his life were safeguarded with such a powerful structure of narrations that the words that the Prophet uttered 1430 years ago, more or less, I can utter those very same words today in UIC. And the Prophet says, in Arabic, as I quote, "Man lam yashkur nas lam yashkurillah." If you haven't learned how to say thank you to people, you have no idea what it means to be thankful to your God. If you do not know what it means to be trustworthy, la imana liman la amanata la. If you do not know how to be trustworthy, then the reality is you have no faith altogether. وَلَا دِينَ لِمَنْ لَا عَهْدَ لَهُ. And if you do not know how to fulfill your promises, then the reality is that you have no religion altogether. So don't go around claiming that I'm a Muslim and I'm a believer when you don't have the basic etiquettes of life within you. Now someone sitting here may say, my religion teaches the very same thing. As a Christian, that's exactly what my religion teaches. Because the religions never came to contradict each other. The prophets came with the same message, but it was then guided and directed towards the community that they were sent towards. I was once I'm taking a turn on Peterson and Lincoln, that's where I live. There's a mosque there. So I was turning onto Lincoln, and there's a Bank of America there. In front of the Bank of America there's a bench there, and on the bench there's a sign. It's quoting the Proverbs, and it says, "The fear of God is the head of wisdom." The fear of God is the head of wisdom. So I'm driving and I'm shocked. I'm pulled back. I'm like, wow, that's so amazing. That's such a powerful statement. The fear of God is it's the head of wisdom. Meaning, if you have fear of God, you have wisdom. If you don't have the fear of God, you lack in wisdom. So I thought to myself, this is so familiar. I've heard of this before somewhere. So I'm sitting there. My brother, he's also a sheikh. He's also an imam. So he's sitting next to me. I'm like, where did we hear this? I just can't put it together. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, رَأْسُ الْحِكْمَةِ مَخَافَةُ. That's actually a hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him, said the very same thing. رَأْسُ الْحِكْمَةِ, the head of wisdom, مَخَافَةُ اللَّهِ, is the fear of God. It's so beautiful how the messengers brought the very same message. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, completes this message by telling the Sahaba, telling the companions, that if you know what forbearance is, if you can be forbearing in your life, then the reality is that this forbearance will give you the very same reward, if not more, than the one who stands in front of God all day and all night, but he has no forbearance within him. The Prophet, peace be upon him, while educating the companions on what good morals are, he says to them, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يَرْحَمْ صَغِيرًا. If you do not know how to be merciful to your young ones, sorry, you're not a complete believer. وَلَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يَعْرِفْ شَرْفَ كَبِيرًا. If you do not know how to be respectful to someone that's older than you, just because you think you're young, you think in your youth, you think you're above the world, don't think that's where the world, don't think that you're the only person. Don't become self-oriented. Khudghars. You should be a person that is worried about every single person around you. Never worry about yourself, worry about other people. Learn how to respect young ones. Learn how to respect elders. Learn how to treat your wife as the queen of the house. Learn how to treat your daughters as the queens of paradise. Learn how to treat your children as your bridge to paradise. Every single person has a respect, has honor. Not only family, someone may say, okay, family is family. But past that, the Prophet says that learn how to treat your relatives with good. Your neighbors, learn how to treat them properly. The Prophet in one gathering, he says, Wallahi la yu'min. Wallahi la yu'min. Wallahi la yu'min. He takes an oath, something that shows emphasis in the next statement. I swear by God, the person has not believed. I swear by God, the person is not a believer. I swear by God, that person is not a believer. So the companions are like, whoa. Who's not a believer? He said this 3 times and he took an oath each of the 3 times. The Prophet, peace be upon him, replies back by saying, Man la ya'munu jarahu bawa'iqahu. The one whose neighbor is in pain because of him. If your neighbor is in pain because of you, then you haven't understood what Islam actually means. If you learn how to hurt people, but don't know how to benefit them, then you have no idea at all what Islam means. The Prophet, peace be upon him, focusing on his etiquettes, he says to the Sahaba, La taghdab, do not become angry, because your anger will then hurt people, and your hurting people will actually take you away from God. And another hadith, the Prophet says, that let me give you another lesson of life. Al-haya'u kullahu khayr. That learn how to build modesty within you. Don't become like a shameless animal. Learn how to have modesty. Learn how to conduct yourself. You walk as a human being. Become a human being for Allah's sake, for God's sake. Because if you can build modesty within you, this is a unique characteristic of the human being. And as long as you can maintain this modesty, then let me tell you, al-haya'u shu'batun min al-iman. Modesty is a branch and is a great portion of your faith. If you claim to be a believer, you must be modest. If you claim to be a believer, you must learn not how to lie. لَيْسَ الْمُؤْمِنُ بِالطَّاعَانِ وَلَا بِاللَّعَانِ وَلَا الْفَاحِشِ وَلَا الْبَذِي. The Muslim is not the one who is always critiquing people unnecessarily. The Muslim is not the one who goes around cursing other people, making prayers against them. May you be destroyed, may you be destroyed, may you be destroyed. That isn't the Muslim. وَلَا الْفَاحِشِ. The Muslim is not the one who has a dirty tongue. He keeps saying words that he would never, that he should feel shameful of saying. That isn't a true believer. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that swearing using bad language is a higher level of transgression. The Prophet, peace be upon him, says that killing may even take you out of the folds of Islam if you murder someone unrightfully. The Prophet, peace be upon him, in verse after verse after verse, the main thing that we are taught and focused from the life of the Prophet is learn how to be good believers. And the only way you could be a good believer is if you have two components. What are the two components? The first thing was the rights of God. Learn how to worship God. And along with worshiping God, Islam and Iman doesn't stop there. There's a lot more to it too. Learn how to be grateful to the creation that's around you. Learn how to give their rights. Learn how to be kind to them. What does the Prophet say? إِنَّ مِنَ الْمَعْرُوفِ أَن تَلْقَى أَخَاكَ بِوَجْهٍ طَلْقٍ. Now let me take this kindness and these etiquettes to another level. Learn how to meet another person بِوَجْهٍ طَلْقٍ with a glooming face. Smile. When you meet someone, smiling. It's a sadaqah. It's actually a good deed to smile at another person. Right? So this is the basic teaching of Islam, that when you're driving and you find something on the ground that can pop another person's tire or may even hurt him, stop, pull over, pull that thing to the side and throw it out. Move it out of the way. You put it in your trunk, get home, throw it in the garbage can. These are the teachings of the Prophet. The Prophet told the companions that if you want to do good, the pathway to good are many. Right? إِمَاتَةُ الْأَذَىٰ عَنِ الطَّرِيقِ صَدَقَةٌ. Removing something from the pathway that can hurt another person is a good deed. When I used to study in England, I studied there for 9 years. And while I was a student there, I had one habit. Whenever it would whenever it would snow, and the snow would pile up and it'd get really messy. Because the school was actually on an incline, it was on a hill. And there were neighbors that would live around. I used to go with a group of friends, and we'd go and we'd clean the driveways of every person that lived in that area. First we'd clean the driveway of the school. Just as a voluntary, for fun, we'd wake up in the morning and start cleaning. So one lady, she came to us one day and she said, "You guys are so young, and I can't imagine a young person or young people waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning just to clean our driveways. I don't even pay you. Why do you do this?" So then I said, "Look, I'm after the reward. The reality is." So I have two ways of getting a reward. Either I stand in my prayer room and stand there in the warm room and worship my God, bowing down, prostrating, worshiping Him. That's one way of gaining my reward. Or why not just go help another person? If I help you, if I move something that can hurt you from your pathway, that's where my belief is. That's where my reward is. This is the true Muslim. You look at Indonesia and Malaysia, Muslim countries. How did they accept Islam? Was there ever a war that took place there? No. How did these people accept Islam? Because they had the chance to trade with Muslims who knew the ethics of trading. This is the basic ethics of trading. They knew how to be trustworthy. They knew how to be truthful. They knew how to be honest. These basic ethics of trading, when they saw this in the Muslims, they were shocked that if there's anything in the world that a person cannot be just in, is actually trading. The human being is very good at being truthful. The best people in the world, you'll see them, and they're very good, very truthful, very honest. But when it comes to trading, when it comes to buying and selling, this very honest person will turn into a treacherous cheater. It's very common. Very common. One person comes and said, "Oh, Mufti Sahib, why don't you give me, he was trying to make me buy an iPhone." So I said, "Why do you want me to buy this iPhone?" He said, "Because if you buy the iPhone, I can jailbreak it for you." I said, "What's jailbreaking?" He said, "You can get all the iTunes applications for free." I'm like, isn't that cheating? If those applications are there for a reason, if they're there to be sold, how can I take those for free? And I said, "You know what, I'm going to make it a point not to buy this one because of that. Because of what if I one day fall into that trap and I end up cheating another person?" This is what Islam teaches us. That when it comes down to it, if you want to know the value of another person, the Prophet, peace be upon him, he says this. And it's so beautiful. Because it just reinforces the mercy of the Prophet, peace be upon him. How he came with a complete message. What does the Prophet say? That if you want to get to know a person, if you claim that you know someone, for example, Abu Uqabi, I say that Uqabi